The profound mystery surrounding death has captivated and simultaneously terrified humanity since the dawn of consciousness. For centuries, the moment of passing has been regarded by material science as the definitive, instantaneous obliteration of the self, a complete and irreversible end to awareness, emotion, and individuality. However, against this prevailing view, a remarkable and systematic body of knowledge meticulously organized by the French educator Allan Kardec and later amplified and detailed through the extraordinary mediumship of Chico Xavier, offers a radically different and deeply comforting perspective. This spiritual science, known as Spiritism, posits that death is not an event of annihilation, but a carefully choreographed transition, a spiritual birth that follows a precise, measured timeline. According to the luminous revelations transmitted from the spirit world, particularly those from the entity Emmanuel through Allan Kardec, the process of departing the physical vessel is contained within a critical, spiritually significant window, the first 3 minutes and 14 seconds after clinical death. This time frame, far from being a void, is a dynamic and conscious process, an orderly separation designed by divine law to ensure the smooth liberation of the immortal soul. Allan Kardec, relying on the extensive testimony of spirits collected across the globe in the mid-19th century, firmly established the fundamental principle: the spirit is the eternal, intelligent core of the being, temporarily clothed in a perishable body. The cessation of the heartbeat merely triggers the physical process of separation. Allan Kardec's revelations offer the vital, minute-by-minute details that flesh out this core doctrine. We are invited to understand that the soul remains fully aware, observing the surroundings, struggling for control, and sensing its progressive freedom. This is not mere belief or comforting fantasy. It is presented as a law of nature, an orderly mechanism where the subtle links binding the soul to the flesh are systematically loosened. These 3 minutes and 14 seconds are, therefore, a period of immense significance, a conscious, often turbulent, yet ultimately glorious journey from the limitations of the physical world back into the boundless realm of the spirit, a truth that fundamentally redefines life, purpose, and the very meaning of existence. The insights provided by Kardec and Xavier do more than console the bereaved. They offer a practical guide for living, emphasizing that the quality of our 3-minute transition is directly determined by the moral and spiritual choices we make during our time on Earth. The medical definition of death, the moment the heart stops beating and respiration ceases, is, from the spiritual perspective revealed through Allan Kardec, merely the first, most superficial layer of a much deeper, more complex transformation. To the eyes of the spirit, what the physical world labels as death is truly the beginning of a meticulously staged process of spiritual release, an unfolding journey that requires a specific duration to be safely completed. Emmanuel, Chico's mentor, insisted that this liberation is far from instantaneous, but unfolds in distinct, measurable stages, precisely calibrated by spiritual law. Allan Kardec's foundational work already described the phenomenon of disincarnation as a gradual separation of the perispirit, the semi-material body of the spirit, from the physical body. He detailed that this process, often compared to an egg being slowly withdrawn from its shell, can take varying lengths of time, sometimes hours, but the critical, conscious moments begin right after clinical death. Allan Kardec's precision in detailing the 3 minutes and 14 seconds provides the vital chronological framework for Kardec's theory. This period is the essence of the conscious transition, where the soul realizes its change of state. The misconception of instantaneous death stems from the human tendency to observe only the cessation of physical function. Yet, in this moment, the subtle connection, the fluidic cord, remains intact, acting as an energetic anchor. The spirit is not instantly flung into a new dimension. It is gently yet firmly drawn out. Kardec explained that the intensity and speed of this separation are directly proportional to the spirit's attachment to the material life. A highly materialized spirit will cling desperately to the body, making the process arduous and subjectively prolonged, even within the strict 3-minute period. Conversely, a spirit who lived a life detached from worldly materialism and focused on virtue experiences a swift, almost unnoticed detachment. Therefore, the spiritual teaching fundamentally refutes the scientific claim of instant oblivion, substituting it with a picture of orderly transformation, a conscious and observable process of shedding the earthly cloak. The key takeaway is profound. Our relationship with matter during life determines the ease of our transition from it in death. The physical body may be still, but the spirit, tethered by the fluidic cord, is fully, if not confusedly, aware, standing on the threshold between two worlds. This understanding shifts the perspective from an abrupt stop to a measured, inevitable, and conscious continuation of life in another sphere. The initial minute immediately following clinical death is perhaps the most disorienting and crucial phase of the transition. The physical body is still, the heartbeat silenced, yet the spirit, the eternal consciousness, remains absolutely present and engaged with its immediate surroundings. This initial engagement is facilitated by the persistence of the fluidic cord, described by the spirits as a shimmering, invisible, to the physical eye, energetic umbilical cord that maintains a partial, powerful connection between the material body and the perispirit. Allan Kardec revealed that within these first 60 seconds, the departing individual maintains a perfect auditory perception of the room. They hear the frantic whispers of the medical staff, the attempts at resuscitation, and the heartbroken expressions of family members. The vision is also often preserved, allowing them to witness the scene of their own demise, yet they are utterly powerless to intervene or communicate. This paradoxical state, complete awareness coupled with complete physical impotence, is the source of the distress experienced during this minute, particularly in cases of sudden death. Allan Kardec had already illuminated this phenomenon through numerous accounts from spirits who described the horror of realizing they were conscious, yet unable to move the lips or hands of their former body. This is the moment when the soul, in its instinctive habit, attempts to command the physical mechanisms that have served it for a lifetime, only to discover a terrifying, definitive silence. Emmanuel clarified through Chico that many spirits, particularly those caught by surprise, experience a frantic push, a desperate effort to re-enter or reactivate the body, only to be met with a cold, unresponsive reality. Simultaneously with this struggle, the soul begins to sense the first unusual physical sensation of the spiritual state, a gentle, buoyant lift, a feeling of floating lightly just above the physical form, yet still intimately tethered to it, the fluidic cord, while an anchor begins to stretch and thin, signaling the eventual separation. The spirit is thus in a state of conscious liminal existence, aware of the earthly reality it just left, struggling with the final remnants of physical habit, and experiencing the first strange lightness of the world to come. This minute confirms the cardinal tenet of Spiritism. Consciousness survives, intact and undiminished, the destruction of the physical organism, moving from the control of matter to the realization of its own independent existence. The definitive and irreversible point of no return in the spiritual transition occurs precisely at the 3-minute and 14-second mark, signaled by the complete and final severance of the fluidic cord. This event is not a passive decay, but an energetic, deliberate action, a spiritual operation that marks the true spiritual birth of the individual. Allan Kardec, in his detailed examination of the separation process, highlighted the fundamental significance of this final break, noting that until the last thread is broken, a vital connection remains, allowing for a potential, though rare, spontaneous reanimation, particularly in cases of catalepsy or apparent death. Allan Kardec's precise timing confirms the existence of a definitive point where all possibility of return, from the spiritual perspective, ceases. Emmanuel described the sensation accompanying this ultimate severance as an overwhelming, incomparable feeling of liberation. It is the glorious and total shedding of a constricting, heavy garment that the soul has worn for decades. The spirit experiences a final, immense rush of lightness and freedom, a feeling so profound that it utterly dwarfs any similar sensation known in the human experience. This is the moment the spirit, in its perispiritual body, is truly and finally autonomous, no longer constrained by the physical laws of dense matter. Prior to this cut, the spirit could still, through habit and the fluidic link, perceive the physical world with a certain clarity, hearing conversations, sensing emotions. After this critical point, those subtle earthbound perceptions cease, and the consciousness is entirely, unreservedly focused on the spiritual plane. Family members present at the bedside often report a subtle, palpable change in the atmosphere at precisely this time. a shift in the room's energy, a feeling that something definitive has happened, confirming the moment of full spiritual release. Kardec taught that the soul's liberation is a joyous, necessary process, and the final cut, far from being traumatic, is a compassionate act of nature. It is the culmination of the body's debt to matter and the spirit's right to eternal freedom. This spiritual birth is the absolute proof of immortality, a transition as natural, though infinitely more sublime, than the physical birth that first drew the spirit into matter. As the second minute unfolds, the transitional experience deepens, moving from the initial confusion of the first minute to a phase of palpable relief and extraordinary sensory expansion. This period, which Emmanuel termed the libération perispiritual liberation, is defined by the conscious and progressive emergence of the spirit body, the perispirit, from the physical form. Allan Kardec defined the perispirit as the indispensable link between the spirit and the body, a fluidic envelope that acts as the spirit's vehicle, carrying sensation and thought. Now, as the perispirit actively separates, the immediate effect on the soul is a profound and accumulating sense of lightness. The spiritual accounts through Allan Kardec consistently describe the gradual disappearance of all physical burdens, the crushing weight of gravity, the lingering echoes of physical pain, the deep fatigue of a long life or a final illness, all vanish systematically. For souls who spent years suffering from chronic conditions, this second minute brings an immense, glorious sense of relief, a sudden freedom from physical limitations that is almost euphoric. However, the transformation is not just physical, it is profoundly sensory. As the spirit's vibratory frequency begins to ascend from the dense material plane towards the etheric world, its senses sharpen and expand into previously unknown dimensions. Allan Kardec revealed that it is in this moment that the soul begins to perceive colors that do not exist in the physical spectrum, entirely new tonal qualities of light and hues that defy human linguistic description. These are the preliminary, magnificent perceptions of the spiritual world, opening up to the newly liberated consciousness, a universe of vibrant, living energy that surpasses the limits of the human eye. Furthermore, this minute is often when the first presence of assisting spirits is faintly perceived. While not yet manifesting clearly, the soul begins to sense subtle presences or shadows, the vanguard of the benevolent spirits, family members, and guides who are approaching to escort the soul. This blend of immense physical relief and the dawning perception of an unimaginably beautiful new reality defines the second minute as a crucial, transformative bridge between the earthly and the spiritual spheres. The third and final minute of the initial 3-minute transition is, according to Emmanuel, the most critically important and profoundly transformative, dedicated to what Allan Kardec termed the cinema of conscience. This is the moment the spirit undertakes an instantaneous, panoramic and comprehensive review of the entire life just concluded. Unlike normal human memory, which is linear and often filtered by ego, this vision is simultaneous and multidimensional. The soul does not merely remember what it did, it experiences the full, unfiltered impact of every action, word, and thought on the lives of all those it encountered. This is the ultimate, objective accounting of the soul's terrestrial journey. Allan Kardec frequently discussed the idea of this life review, confirming that immediately after death, the spirit's mental faculties are dramatically expanded, allowing for a complete recollection and understanding of the past life. Emmanuel provided the emotional and moral depth to this concept. The soul sees its own life from a completely new, elevated perspective, recognizing previously unseen connections, understanding the hidden purpose behind painful experiences, and grasping the true, final impact of its existence on earth. Critically, during this review, the soul does not suffer external judgment. Instead, it becomes its own most objective, yet perfectly compassionate judge. All is seen with an unparalleled clarity that naturally induces self-correction and understanding. The soul recognizes its missed opportunities for love, the harm caused by unbridled ego, and the lessons that were stubbornly resisted. Furthermore, this panoramic vision is not just a review of the past, it is a clear projection into the future. By seeing the whole picture, the soul gains absolute clarity on its current evolutionary standing, recognizing the moral flaws that still need to be corrected and the specific types of future experiences in the spiritual world or through a subsequent reincarnation that will be necessary for its continued growth. The soul emerges from the third minute with a complete, serene, and unassailable understanding of who it truly is, what it achieved, and what remains to be accomplished on its eternal path of perfection. A foundational and immensely comforting truth revealed through the teachings of Spiritism is that no soul ever passes through the critical 3-minute transition alone. A vast, organized, and deeply compassionate infrastructure of spiritual assistance is always at work. Allan Kardec, observing the consistent reports of assisting spirits from mediums worldwide, established the doctrine of spiritual protection, noting that a person's guides and guardians are ever present, especially at the moment of great change. Allan Kardec's revelations detailed the logistics of this operation, describing highly specialized teams of spiritual rescuers or paramedics of the soul. These entities are dedicated solely to the smooth, orderly transition of the newly liberated spirits. These rescuers possess the spiritual technology and deep knowledge to monitor the process, arriving often before clinical death is confirmed, creating a field of loving, high-frequency energy around the dying person to facilitate the fluidic cord's gentle separation and to stabilize the emotional state of the departing soul. Beyond these technical specialists, the soul is almost invariably met by its personal spirit guide, a long-term mentor who knows the soul intimately, and most often by dearly loved family members and friends who have already completed their journey. These loved ones do not manifest immediately to avoid startling the recently departed, but their presence is felt as a profound wave of love, comfort, and recognition, especially in the second and third minutes. For complicated or traumatic deaths, such as accidents or suicide, specialized mentors are deployed, experts in trauma and emotional healing, to minimize the shock and accelerate the understanding of the new reality. The presence of these benevolent teams underscores the core tenet of Spiritism. The universe is governed by love and order, and every soul, regardless of its earthly condition, is cherished and assisted upon its return home. This collective effort ensures that what might otherwise be a moment of terror becomes instead a serene and organized welcome. The general timeline of 3 minutes and 14 seconds remains consistent, yet the subjective experience within that time frame varies dramatically, as the transition is deeply influenced by the soul's preparation, moral state, and the circumstances of death. Allan Kardec's mentors provided detailed accounts of how different types of departure affect the subjective 3-minute journey. In cases of a natural death anticipated due to old age or long illness, the process is described as a smooth, flowing music. The soul has been consciously or subconsciously preparing, and the fluidic cord is often naturally weakened, making the separation gentle and peaceful. The spirit is calm, ready to embrace the new phase. Conversely, a sudden death, such as from an accident or a massive heart attack, often results in a turbulent transition. The soul, caught completely by surprise and attached to its life plans, resists the process. The intense denial and resistance can make the 3 minutes feel subjectively much longer and more agonizing, as the spirit struggles to come to terms with its new, powerless state. Allan Kardec emphasized that the degree of a spirit's moral elevation is the primary factor in the ease of its transition. A materialistic, self-centered individual, even dying naturally, will find the separation painful because of their deep attachment to matter. The most complex case is that of suicide, where the cord is violently severed against divine law. The spirit remains painfully and abnormally attached, often for a prolonged period, suffering immensely as it is trapped between worlds. Conversely, the death of small children is uniquely beautiful, described as a dance with angels, as their innocence ensures no resistance. And for highly evolved spirits, or saints, the 3 minutes are often reduced to mere seconds, as they detach with the simplicity of taking off a coat, moving instantly into a higher spiritual sphere. These varied accounts powerfully illustrate that the 3-minute transition is a direct and final examination of the life lived, a reflection of our moral and spiritual preparedness. As the soul progresses through the 3-minute transition, its sensory and mental apparatus undergoes a dramatic transformation, leading to a state of heightened clarity and profound spiritual awareness that far surpasses any experience available in the physical world. Allan Kardec taught that the perispirit, being the sensory vehicle of the spirit, transfers all acquired memories and faculties, but in a purified, amplified state. Allan Kardec's revelations detailed this amplification, the mental fog and distractions of earthly life, described by Emmanuel as a veil, gradually dissipate, allowing the spirit to think with an unparalleled clarity it never experienced while confined to the brain. This cognitive leap is paired with an expansion of emotional and spiritual perception. While souls who lived in harmony and love experience an overwhelming, joyful serenity throughout the 3 minutes, those departing with unresolved conflicts or deep attachments may feel initial confusion or fear. However, all are consistently buffered by the pervasive presence of spiritual assistance, ensuring that absolute despair is never felt. The pinnacle of this transformation occurs during the 3rd minute, concurrent with the life review, where the soul achieves a profound sense of universal connection. This is the realization of its true place in the cosmic family, a feeling of being intricately linked to all other souls, to the entire universe, and directly to God. It is an experience of cosmic belonging and unity that transcends all human language. Paradoxically, while the process is strictly timed at 3 minutes and 14 seconds in earthly time, the spirit's subjective perception of time is equally transformed. For some, the 3 minutes can feel like hours, granting ample time for the life review and acceptance. For others, the transition is instantaneous, confirming that time, like matter, is a relative concept from the spiritual perspective. These new sensations confirm the soul's immortality and its inherent nature as an integral part of the vast interconnected tapestry of creation. Once the fluidic cord is fully severed at 3:14, the soul moves beyond the critical transition and enters the first phase of its permanent spiritual existence, known as the adaptation period, which occupies the first 24 hours. Allan Kardec's studies on the fate of the soul established that spirits immediately proceed to the region of the spiritual world that corresponds to their vibratory frequency and moral state, a concept later detailed by Allan Kardec's description of distinct spiritual colonies or zones. During the first few hours, the spirit is often in a state of reconnaissance, much like waking from a deep, long dream. Emmanuel explained that many spirits, driven by habit, still attempt to perform physical actions, trying to open doors, pick up objects, or speak with the living, only gradually realizing the new reality of operating through the fluidic body. This initial confusion is swiftly mitigated by the second phase, orientation. Teams of specialized spiritual mentors, skilled in assisting the newly discarnate, take charge, providing intensive guidance. They patiently answer the spirit's often frantic questions, calm their fears, and systematically explain the fundamental laws and realities of the spiritual world. This process is crucial for stabilizing the spirit's emotional and mental state. The final phase of the first day is the definitive destination, or direction. The spirit is not judged by an external deity, rather its own inner vibration. The sum of its thoughts, intentions, and deeds naturally directs it to a corresponding place in the spiritual hierarchy. As Kardec frequently taught, the spirit creates its own destiny. The spiritual world simply reflects its moral condition. A noble spirit finds itself in luminous, joyful regions devoted to study and service, while a materialistic or selfish spirit is drawn to darker, less harmonious zones populated by those of a similar vibration, not as punishment, but as a necessary step towards self-correction. The first 24 hours are thus a comprehensive, guided lesson in self-discovery and the laws of spiritual cause and effect. The journey of the soul does not end with its arrival in the spiritual sphere. It begins an ongoing, purposeful path of continued evolution that is meticulously planned and executed. Following the initial adaptation period, the spirit engages in a structured process of self-assessment and future planning that can span years or even centuries. Within the first week, according to Allan Kardec's revelations, the spirit participates in balance meetings with its mentors. This is a detailed analysis of the past life, not for guilt or regret, but for identifying moral accomplishments, persistent flaws, and crucial lessons learned. Allan Kardec, through the Spirit's book, emphasized the principle of reincarnation as the fundamental law of progress, noting that spirits choose their new trials to expiate past errors and acquire new virtues. During the first month, the spirit is channeled into specific activities suited to its current needs and skills. Some are directed to spiritual schools for intense study. Others, whose lives were marked by service, immediately begin work in assistance or healing activities. The intention is always to facilitate growth and allow the spirit to contribute its acquired experience. The first year is dedicated to the formulation of the plan of future evolution. Working closely with their mentors, the spirit decides its next steps, whether to prepare for a swift return to Earth, reincarnation, to tackle a specific moral challenge, or to dedicate an extended period to service and study in the spiritual world to further develop intellectual and moral capacities. Crucially, the spirit actively participates in choosing its next life's trials and family structure, fully understanding the necessary difficulties for its progress. A frequently asked question concerns communication with the Earth. Emmanuel revealed that generally, after approximately 3 months, the newly discarnate spirit has gained sufficient control over its perispiritual faculties to attempt meaningful mediumistic communication with loved ones on Earth, offering consolation and confirmation of life's continuity. The entire ongoing journey, therefore, is one of purposeful, self-directed growth, where every step is aimed at attaining moral perfection. The spiritual teachings from both Allan Kardec and Allan Kardec are not merely descriptive, they are profoundly prescriptive, offering clear guidance on how to live one's current life in preparation for a serene and glorious transition. The quality of the 3-minute experience is not arbitrary. It is the direct and final reflection of the moral and spiritual choices made while inhabiting the physical body. Emmanuel emphasized that the most effective preparation is the development of virtues, cultivating love, compassion, selflessness, and forgiveness. A spirit whose life is spent in the practice of good creates a luminous, high-frequency perispirit that naturally detaches with ease and ascends toward higher spiritual spheres. The greatest obstacle to a tranquil transition is the fear of death itself. Kardec dedicated significant effort to demystifying death, teaching that once understood as a mere change of state, a temporary separation, the fear dissolves. This intellectual acceptance must be paired with active spiritual practice. The habitual practice of prayer and meditation during life is invaluable, as it trains the soul to connect with the higher vibratory frequencies of the spiritual world and makes communication with assisting guides during the 3 minutes much easier and more intuitive. Furthermore, the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation cannot be overstated. A spirit that departs with a heart burdened by resentment, unresolved conflict, or guilt creates powerful negative energetic ties that complicate and prolong the process of detachment. Allan Kardec consistently taught that resolving conflicts and clearing one's conscience before death ensures a much brighter, more luminous experience upon crossing the threshold. Ultimately, the practice of selfless charity and love for one's neighbor is the surest preparation. Souls who have genuinely practiced the Golden Rule during life are welcomed into the spiritual world with unparalleled joy, transforming their 3 minutes of transition from a trial into a true celebration of their return home. The totality of the revelations concerning the 3 minutes after death, transmitted through Allan Kardec and grounded in the comprehensive framework of Allan Kardec's Spiritism, provides humanity with one of the most transformative and vital bodies of knowledge ever received. These detailed accounts move beyond simple faith or abstract philosophy, offering a systematic, minute-by-minute map of the spirit's return journey. This knowledge is not only a profound source of consolation for those mourning the loss of a loved one, but it is an absolute paradigm shift for all who seek to understand the profound purpose of life itself and to prepare adequately for their own inevitable passage. The certainty that consciousness continues, that a loving and organized spiritual assistance is guaranteed to every soul, and that the transition is a measured, orderly, and deeply personal event, fundamentally alters the human perspective on both life and death. Death is thus stripped of its terror, redefined as a necessary, glorious, and natural step in an infinite evolutionary trajectory. The 3 minutes and 14 seconds are the final defining examination of our earthly sojourn, a conscious moment where we face the reality of our true self before embarking on the next adventure. More significantly, These teachings place an immediate, immense value on our current existence. Every single day, every choice, every act of kindness or selfishness contributes directly to the quality of our future spiritual freedom. Our existence is not a random, meaningless span ending in oblivion, but a priceless opportunity for moral development, the only true currency we carry into the spiritual realm. Allan Kardec, guided by Emmanuel, bequeathed to the world a message of unparalleled hope and clarity. The spiritual life is a continuous journey of love, growth, and discovery. The knowledge of what happens in those 3 crucial minutes empowers us to live now with greater love, unwavering purpose, and the serene certainty that the human spirit is an immortal spark of the divine, destined for an eternal, continuous, and boundless existence.